Good afternoon and Happy New Year to everyone. Chair Hegarty is not available to join us today, but we are ready for our meeting with the Board of Trustees of the El Paso Community College. Ms. Penn?
Yes. Section 1, General Functions. A Facilities and Finance Committee meeting of the Board of Trustees of the El Paso County Community College District will be held on Tuesday, January 26, 2021, beginning at 4 p.m. This meeting will be held by video teleconference in light of state and local emergency directives regarding COVID-19. The teleconference audio can be accessed by dialing toll-free 1-844-621-3956, entering access code 120-602-0547 to access the call, and when requested, enter the pound sign. And through audio video feed found at youtube.com/GoEPCC. Any member of the public wishing to make a comment or question regarding an agenda item can email the comments or questions to the following email address: board-questions@epcc.edu. All backup and related materials for the meeting can be accessed at the following link: epcc.edu/administration/board of trustees.
Thank you, Ms. Pam. Again, welcome. Good afternoon to everyone. And we appreciate that you are taking time to join us today for this important meeting. Ms. Pam, will you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Uxer.
Here.
Mrs. Robles. Mrs. Robles. Ms. Nájera.
Here.
Ms. Sanchez. Ms. Pena.
Here.
Dr. Graham.
Here.
And Mrs. Robles, are you on the line?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we are missing Ms. Sanchez.
Okay.
We have 5 members present.
Okay. Do we have any public comment?
At this time, we do not.
Okay, thank you. So we move on to item 5, discussion items.
Item 5.1, Mr. Paulo Perez, Program Manager, ECM, will provide an update briefing. Reading from the wrong person here. Will provide an update briefing on the progress of the Combined Fee Revenue Improvement Bonds Series 2016 program. The briefing items will include, but are not limited to, a general update including schedule and budget for all 6 projects, as well as an overall bond schedule and budget update.
Thank you, Mr. Perez.
Good afternoon, Dr. Graham. Good afternoon, Dr. Serrata and board members. I want to start by sharing a video with you that ECM produced. Let me, there you go.
Hello.
Hello? Oh, and
Ms. Robles, would you like to mute your computer, please? Ms. Robles?
Yes.
Thank you.
oh, okay. I'm trying to find the video now. So bear with me for a second. So basically, Dr. Graham had asked us to create some videos for each of the projects, and we started with Valle Verde TTC because that's the one that's formally closed. and hopefully you'll like it. We're planning on doing another one for each project, and as they close out, I'm hopefully we'll be able to show you. Hopefully I'll be able to show you on some. But here it is. You may want to turn up the volume a little bit.
The El Paso County Community College District selected ECM International Incorporated to manage its 2016 Master Plan Bond Program. The Valle Verde Transportation Training Center, or TTC, is one of 6 projects designed and built as part of the $150 million bond. This new 9,038,600 square foot facility is located on the Valle Verde campus. Centrally located in El Paso, Texas, Valle Verde is the largest of 5 campuses that comprise the community college district. The TTC replaces existing inadequate and limited space and consolidates all of the college's transportation technology programs under one roof in a state-of-the-art facility that will serve the instructional needs of the community for years to come. The new facility houses a variety of transportation workforce spaces that support the instruction and training of students involved in diesel mechanics, automotive technology, auto body collision, and hydraulic technology. The facility exists primarily to provide hands-on instruction for these disciplines and includes 12 bays for automotive technology, 1 with a dedicated dynamometer, 6 bays for diesel mechanics, including an inspection pit, diesel dyno, and trolley frame, 2 bays for hydraulic technology training, and 4 bays for the auto body collision program, including the enforcement. The facility also includes 4 classrooms, 2 hydraulic technology support rooms, a computer lab reference library, a fully stocked and staffed tool room, a conference room, faculty offices and space for 6 employees, separate faculty and students, other sports spaces, storage, the outdoor wash bay, and market. The exterior of the building is compatible with the existing campus, but includes other design elements that reflect its technical and strategic focus. It was designed by CBA Architects and built by VNet Construction, both of which are El Paso-based companies. Project design began in December 2016 and included a full programming phase with the active involvement of deans, faculty, students, and community partners to ensure that the facility would serve current and future needs. Construction started in February of 2018. The grand opening was held on November 20th, 2019, with the building available for classes in the fall of 2019.
Okay, hopefully y'all like it. I'll go ahead and start the presentation.
Can I ask you a question before we get to the presentation, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
I do like it. I don't think we need it as much on the construction side, but I wish we had some students in there. But are we able to tweak it a little bit later on? Is that going to be, are you going to give us the rights to become property of the community college?
Oh yeah, it's all yours. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, great, because then later we can just tweak putting in a few people in there. But
Absolutely.
It does look good.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It showcases the work that you did. Thank you. I thought you had forgotten about it.
Well, we certainly didn't. We're just waiting to wrap up the projects, and as they're wrapping up, then we're going to certainly create this. We hope, at least, for all the projects.
Thank you. It does look very good. And Ms. Penn, can we note that Ms. Sanchez is joining the meeting, please? Okay,
yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. We'll proceed with your presentation.
Okay, thank you. As y'all aware, the COVID continues to be a major impact on everything. I just wanted to put down some of the quotes we read in some of the articles. Most of these come from Construction Dive and the SPE pipeline, and they just illustrate that as far as construction is concerned, it's not slowing down. And as we all know, it impacted the college and also impacted construction probably even more because, you can't build remotely. You have to be there on site. So obviously that makes them more exposed to risk. But we certainly keep an eye on it. We're asking for the contractors with no guarantee that we'll allow time, but to file their claims. They filed the 2020 claims and then we're still going to ask them to file for 2021 by the time the project is over. And then we'll sit down with EPCC and evaluate each claim and see if they have any merit or not. So it has been a very long road, as you well know. And sometimes I think we need a little bit of a refresher on this because when we started all these projects, there was booming construction. We had over $2 billion of work in the city. Was the busiest the city has ever been in construction. Of course, that limited the number of contractors available and subcontractors. So that was how we started. And then we had Hurricane Harvey, which caused a lot of the manpower here in town to go down to Houston because obviously they made better money down there. And then we had oil boom, which with the high pay caused a lot of these workers also to be working the oil wells in Midland, Odessa. And finally, the cherry on the cake is obviously the COVID-19. But despite all this, we actually pretty proud to see the kind of buildings they're turning out. They are beautiful buildings, and ultimately they'll be big assets to the college. And we got 2 to go. I mean, we're still working a little bit at Mission, but those are the 2 big ones: Valle Verde and Rio Grande. But we certainly can see the light at the end of the road, and hopefully we'll wrap them up soon. So going to the projects, I want to give you an update on the wayfinding. We finally got some pictures to share. If you'll indulge me, I'd like to give some kudos to Mr. Lobato and his staff, Liliana Sepulveda. She's their project manager. They've done a fantastic job doing the construction administration for this, and we're starting to see the fruits of their hard work. And obviously, Mission is the one that's the furthest ahead. So the demolition for this began on November 11th. And as of right now, they're 40% complete. So we're anticipating a substantial completion in March 21, 2021. Mission, they're pretty much done. The only thing they were missing, and I think they'll wrap it up this week, is there's a sign by the Waco Tank Road, and it's too far from any other power sources. So they were doing a solar power connection, and that obviously took a little longer. But I believe by the end of this week, Mission should be completely wrapped up. And then Via Verde, they already demolished all the existing signs. The concrete bases should be complete this week. And they already actually started installing new signs. And administrative services center, the electrical excavations have already started for the Viscount Boulevard sign. So without further ado, let me show you how this actually worked very well. I took this picture from the access road to I-10 on the opposite side of the campus. And as you can tell, it stands up. It really stands up, and you can tell it's a beautiful sign. It looks great. This is a picture I took. I actually walked to I-10, so you can kind of see what it looks like from I-10. Of course, I'm not Flash Gordon. I mean, this is me standing still, not going at 55 miles an hour, but nonetheless, it gives you an idea how visible the sign is. And this next sign actually shows you as you turn into the campus, and you can see the lights are on the sign, and it really, really complements the campus, and it's a great landmark that hopefully you'll be very pleased with. Also, all the directional signs are in place, as you can tell here. This is the one I was telling you about at Waco Tanks Road, that obviously because of the distance, it's not lit up yet. So I didn't take a picture of this one with the lights on for obvious reasons. And this is the sign that is right, the main sign after you get in on the campus. It's the one that dead ends, the road that ends into this sign. So it's a very, very prominent sign. And as you can tell, it looks beautiful at night with the lights on. It really does a good job. So again, a great kudos to Mr. Lovato and his staff for managing so far this portion of the work. Going on to Rio Grande, as you can tell, there's a lot of work going on in the skin of the building. You can see all the scaffolding up, and they're making quite a bit of progress. There, as you can tell here, they already started with a face brick, and they're done with the painting for the parking garage. And here's a picture of the 6th floor. The picture to your left, top left, is the main corridor. The picture to your bottom left is the cardio area. And the big picture on the right is the south end offices. And going on to the 7th floor, as you can tell, there's quite a bit of progress as well. On the left side is the north end of the Sim Suite corridor. And the one on the right is the 7th floor main corridor. So the good news is that they actually have increased quite a bit their manpower. Diversified Interiors is their subcontractor for finishes, and that's obviously at this point is the most critical component. And they've really stepped up in terms of providing manpower. So albeit obviously it's not ideal because in a few minutes I'm about to tell you, they're actually even a little further behind. At least there is definitely an effort to try to catch up. So according to the contractor, and I want to preface this by saying back in on the last meeting, December 1st, I did tell you that we received a letter from the contractor telling us it was going to be in March or late February. And subsequently after the meeting in mid-December, we got a follow-up letter basically saying that based on this progress that we've had since the last letter, we're really looking at May 10th. You'll see in this calendar, we actually think it might end up being the end of May. And so at this point, rather than try to plan for the summer too, which would be very tight, we feel we should just settled for opening it in the fall because it's not only getting substantial complete, it's actually completion. It's actually the time it's going to take to move in all those critical components and complex components of equipment and furniture and there's going to be a lot of legwork. That sim lab will take a while to get established. So, and obviously the staff will have to train before the classes start. So with that being said, right now we're looking at a fall semester start. The 23rd, honestly, it's a little bit of a guess because I didn't know. It'll probably be very close to that date of August 23rd. So as you can tell, we're still a little bit, right now this is figuring out to May. There's still about a $3 million delta that will have to be made up by the end of the project. But they are making progress towards that date. So any questions on Rio Grande before I move to Valle Verde?
I do have a question, Dr. Serrata. What is that going to do to the plan if it's not going to be available till the fall semester?
Yeah, Dr. Graham, we haven't scheduled any courses in the building as of yet. And so what we would do is just hold off scheduling it until the fall.
So definitely it won't be for the summer at all.
I'm sorry, it won't be. I'm sorry, Dr. Graham, I missed the last part.
So there is nothing you can do to get this ready for the summer?
Well, summer 1 is definitely out. I don't think it's pragmatic, but summer 2, it's a real, we're certainly trying. We're trying to get this done as soon as possible. Obviously, it's no guarantee they're going to go through May 10th. If they stepped out, they could actually even finish earlier. But at this point, just as a caution, and because so far the contractors really have had hard trouble just keeping up with the progress they say they're going to do. So we'd certainly recommend, we can certainly regroup in like a month or so, but right now we'd recommend just planning on the fall because it really, if you wasn't such a complex building with all the components of equipment and furniture, I would say it would be possible. Right now, I really don't think that's going to happen.
When was it supposed to be completed?
When was it supposed to be completed? Originally, it was August 25th of last year. And now, of course, one of the things that we'll have to consider too, and I'll address that in a little bit as well, is we certainly look at liquidated damages, but at this point, we really don't have a real clear picture because that's going to depend also on other time extension requests. But that's our recourse, is charging liquidated damages.
I just know that it's a big inconvenience financially and for our students not to have it available in the summer. So I don't want it to be that, oh, it's okay, let's just wait till the fall.
No, absolutely.
We need to push for the summer.
Absolutely, and we will continue to do that. And as a matter of fact, I know the dean, for a fact, was fairly upset also because she had already had plans, and it's certainly understandable. But we need to be also careful that we manage our expectations and don't tell you, yeah, we can certainly continue to try. Mel wants to say something.
Thank you. This is Mel, and I just wanted to say something for the record. We haven't accepted the performance of the contractor, and we're not in agreement with their schedule. But we have to also stay realistic as to what we see as professionals in the field, and not say that we will finish when they haven't shown us that they can recoup the time. But we're definitely pushing.
Yeah.
And we're definitely pressuring them to do as much as possible. If you could turn back to the
schedule?
No, the actual time staffing.
This right
you
here.
See, they've been all over the place in the last couple of months. Down to as low as 26 people, and now they're up at 83, and that is part of our pushing. We've written not so nice letters twice, with copies to the college and I think the attorney as well. Yeah, I believe so. But anyways, it's not what we're taking it lightly, but at this time here in this forum, we want to give you a realistic time frame. Just wanted to clarify that.
Well, I think we're doing the same thing, giving you a realistic time, but we expected it, much faster than that. You got 82.8, it should be 100 or more. We just can't keep extending the time and saying we're trying, because our students need to get, access to the building, and we can't even begin to schedule if we don't have access to the building.
And that's certainly understandable, Dr. Graham. I think, I do think some of this has to do with some time extension, obviously they were entitled to, but as well as COVID, albeit at this time, we're certainly not granting any days. They're certainly forthcoming. I mean, for instance, one of the things they claim is that because of safe distancing by CDC requirements in the city, they couldn't work well. So there was a clear drop in productivity. We obviously want them to substantiate that, and we're working with them on doing that. But there are factors that associated with COVID as well. And that's why I try to make a point of that right in the beginning of the presentation, because it does affect us.
I'm not denying that it affects it, but, I'm sorry, life goes on. We got to get these projects finalized.
Absolutely.
It's not the only project in the city that's moving forward. There's, as you well know, there's construction going on in all the school districts and including where I work. And, we're all held to those same standards of social distancing and everything else. But I think we need to push a little bit harder to get this completed and ready for the summer.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any other questions, Dr. Graham?
No, I don't have any other questions on that.
Okay. Anybody else on the Rio Grande? I'll move on now to the Valle Verde project. So here's a picture how it's looking as of about a couple of weeks ago. This is probably the project that's as close to substantial completion without being substantially complete. If you look at the progress, it really, everything is 99%. But there's still a few components that they got to wrap up before they get substantial completion. Now, you may wonder why I'm showing you these pictures of boxes in the rooms and the hallways. Well, this is actually great news. So starting last Friday, we actually start moving in furniture. So that is certainly very exciting to see that happening. And right now, from a schedule standpoint, I think, and I'll go into that in a minute, but I think we're okay. As you can tell, the Flexitorium, there's all the sound, the acoustics. Panels are all in, all the chairs have been installed. On the right, there's this gentleman wrapping up the glass handrails in the lobby. And the lobby is probably, of everything, the area that's a little more like 85%, 90%. They still do lack a little bit of work there. The low voltage continues, fast and furious. There's quite a few people working on that. On the right, you have the music room. This gentleman is wrapping up the ceiling for the music room. And then, so right now we're pretty much confident that we will definitely be able to get it done by March 22nd, if not a little earlier. The only question mark, but even that's progressing pretty well, is the low voltage. But if you recall, we were going to give them days for that as well. But right now, March 22nd certainly looks like a good date, and it certainly looks like we should be able to start classes there for summer.
That's a beautiful building.
Oh, it's gorgeous, and you needed to see it inside. I mean, I can't wait to show you, to give you a tour of the building when it's done. It really is. The finishes are gorgeous, and they're like wood ceilings in the lobby and those glass and guardrails. It just looks great. As you can tell here, we're almost there. It's very close to being complete, and here's the S curve as well. So, before I move on, any questions on Valle Verde? Okay. So, a safety update. This is really good news. Certainly kudos to all the contractors for being safety conscious. And we're talking about 836,000 hours and not a single major incident. So that's something to brag about, I think. Then going to the current project schedule planner. So the change I did here from the last presentation is really put a Rio Grande in the fall. Again, we're not surrendering yet, and we're certainly pushing the contractor, but I think it would be prudent for us to be cautious how we plan this. So we feel that fall 2021 would certainly be the best date. So overall bond budget update, not much has changed. The only thing worth mentioning is that we do have at the Rio Grande about $500,000 worth of change orders that haven't been processed. But if you look all the way to the right, and hopefully you can see my arrow here, we still have nearly 2 million, which if you take the $500,000 out, we still have about 1.5 million for all the projects to wrap up. And so we feel like probably about 1 million or maybe a little less we should be able to turn that around, depending on what the EPCC really wants to do with the funds. But from a financial standpoint, this bond has been going great. And no change here, just showing you basically what I showed you last time. Action items. So this is an item, just let me preface this. This is an item that actually was originally brought to the board at the December 1 meeting. We've gone back and tried to be a little more detailed and thorough on the presentation. So hopefully we'll be a little clearer what the intent is and the purpose. So with that being said, Pam, could you please read the action item?
Yes, it's item 6.1, discussion to approve a proposed consultant change order, PCCO, to Park Hill Smith & Cooper Incorporated in an amount of $56,265 to cover the costs associated with additional construction administration services for the Rio Grande Classroom Lab Garage Building Construction Project.
Thank you, Pam. So
do we have discussion, board members? Discussion on the proposed consultant change order.
Hi, Dr. Graham. This is Christina. ECM, are you all preparing a presentation on this particular agenda item?
Yes, ma'am. I was about to start.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Dr. Graham, if I may suggest, if we could go through that presentation and then we can make that determination, I guess, after, if we need to talk a little bit more further about it with our legal counsel. I think there were some questions last time, but I'd like to hear the presentation first.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Okay, sir, go ahead.
Thank you. So this actually I showed you last time. So we have the BSC contract that references a substantial completion to August 25th. This is the contractor schedule from 10/16/2020 that showed February 16, 2021 completion date. And again, this is based on the last November proposal. Subsequently, like I told you, we have another letter telling they're going to go into May. And I will address that in just a second. But for the time being, it is what it's in question is for additional services to February 26, 2021. So these are activities that, irrespective of how long the project lasts, they'll have to be done. Whether the project lasts 1 year or 2 years, this is something fixed that the architects will always have to do. It'll always be the same number of RFIs, ASIs. RFIs is request for information, ASIs additional supplementary information from the architect, and reviewing submittals, shop drawings, issuing punch lists. none of that really changes if the contract is extended. So this proposal does not address that. This proposal assumes that they'll continue to do this work because this is part of what their contract called for, irrespective of the completion date. Now, there are efforts, in fact, by the time extension and like attending weekly project meetings, weekly on-site observations, weekly field reports, review monthly pay applications. For instance, let's say the project was 1 year project. So you'd have to review 12 monthly pay apps. And if we extend it to 2 years, now you have to review 24, which is obviously additional time. So all these efforts are tied to the time of the construction. And so the longer the construction goes, the more they'll have to do. So they'll have to have people, not only from architects, but also their consultants, to spend more time on it. So this really amounts to $8,056 a month, which is not a whole lot given all the additional work that needs to be done. And we certainly recommend it. Now, there's on top of this proposal for additional time, there's also additional work that EPCC requested, and it's listed here. And that's a cost of $7,930 that we also will need to pay the architect for because it's clearly additional services. So the total for this is $56,365. It's what we're asking the board for. Now, just to put it in context, we're talking about 0.19% of the construction contract and 2.5% for the AE subtotal and 0.15% for the from the project budget. So as you can tell, in the grand scheme of things, I don't want to minimize that's a pretty good amount of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it is pretty reasonable. So the important point to mention is we are now at the most critical time of the project. This is certainly where they earn their money. And not to say they didn't earn before, but they certainly earn it here. And so with that being said, the last thing we probably should do is drop them at this time. Now, obviously the question could come up that how we pay for it. So as part of all the projects, and I know I've covered this before, but just reinforce that, we do have a contingency for that sole purpose of things that are not expected or things that can be expected, but we don't know what's going to entail. We have the contingency. And right now what we're talking about doing is taking $56,000 of the contingency. No additional funds will need to be provided. It's part of the budget. So what this basically tells you is even after we take this 56,000 out, we'll still have $1 million, which again, I want to qualify that by saying we still have $500,000 of change orders to pay for, but we'll still have $500,000 to go until the end of the project. Obviously, there's also the issue of liquidated damages. So we're charging the contractor $500 a day for the delay. So it's safe to say that we will assess liquidated damages. What's not safe to say is that how much that's going to be. Well, we honestly don't know at this point, but we certainly, that will be a source of funds as well to reimburse the college for these expenses for the architect. Now, I want to mention that this slide is certainly going to look a little different from what you've been sent. We felt that it wasn't that clear, so we made a small change. I mean, the intent of the slide certainly doesn't change, but we're trying to make it a little clear about the pros and cons on about whether or not we approve this. And so if the board chooses to approve this action item, there's obviously the con is the college spends $56,000. On the other side, there's pros that are very, very considerable. One of them is obviously don't lose coordination efforts. I go through a number of things. They're absolutely critical, particularly at this time, to get from the article, from the architect. It's also important from a standpoint of documentation for future reference by physical plant and the college, and also if for some reason something came up in litigation, to have that documentation can prove to be very helpful long term. And also, to be perfectly honest, they have done 5 out of 6 months that passed by. They've done the work full time, and no, they didn't reduce their efforts. So it'll be good to have a percentage that EPCC will pay for services performed. Now, there's an obviously question that I'm sure most of you are probably thinking. So this goes through the end of February, so we're making PSC whole by the end of February. And obviously you may ask, well, you just told us that this will probably go into May. And so the intent right now is that we go on a monthly basis with PSC at a rate of $8,100 or $8,056 a month. So instead of trying to guess, well, is this going to be May, June, or is it going to be March or April? What our plan is go on a monthly basis with architects. So at the end of February, hopefully we'll have a good idea that will go through March, and very likely will. So we would sign for $8,000 more for $8,100 for the architect, and so on. And we feel that's probably the best approach right now at this time. Again, $8,100 is real money, but it is a good investment for the college. So at this point, ECM requests that the board approve this action item.
Dr. Graham and members of the board, I'd like to let you know that we met with ECM. We went through the presentation, very thorough presentation, and Vice President Shaughnessy, Mr. Lobato, Mr. Gallardo, and I met with them, and we feel comfortable with the recommendation towards the board as well.
Thank you, Dr. Serrata. Do we have any comments from board members? Questions?
Hi, Dr. Graham. This is Christina.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to comment. Thank you very much for the presentation. This was very helpful. I think the last time that we had this on, there were just some outstanding questions. So I definitely appreciate the effort and the further explanation on this. I know that when you look at these projects, you know, big picture, the total amount of the contract, they're multi-million-dollar contracts. And so when you're thinking of that, and when you're looking at that, at least from my perspective, and I know from a lot of constituents' perspectives as well, the question is always, well, isn't that enough? And why are we spending more? And so even a $50K contract or anything else is definitely going to be something that would, you know, we want to be able to question. We want to be able to ask those questions. I think your presentation here and laying this out, what this means, what are those pros, what are those cons, have been very helpful. So I just wanted to thank you for doing that exercise and taking the time to do that exercise. I think in the future as well, if there are, hopefully not, but if there is this, if we run into this again, I think we need to make sure that we have this same kind of communication and presentation so that it's laid out there. So not only for our benefit, because we're going to be the ones that are ultimately voting or giving the nay or yay on these items, but also for the benefit of the public and the constituents who want to see where this money is going. And we know that this Rio Grande project, this is in my district, has taken unfortunately a little bit longer than what we would like. Dr. Graham eloquently stated the reasons of why that's important, why we need our students there. But that's even more important and pertinent as to why we need this explanation in terms of what this is going to look like in real time and with real dollars. So anyway, with that said, I thank you, and I move to approve item 6.1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Bonnie Najera, second.
Go ahead.
Would you like me to call the question now, Dr. Graham?
Do we do have a second?
Yes, Ms. Nájera seconded it.
Okay. Yes, ma'am, please.
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Nájera,
Aye.
Ms. Pina,
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye. Yes, thank you. That was a good information.
Thank you so much. Yes, and yeah, actually, Mel had a good point that we certainly, after the meeting, we certainly realized we fell short of your expectations on showing you the action item in the presentation, and we certainly apologize for that. And I can guarantee you that won't happen again. We certainly take this as a lesson, and from now on, you'll certainly get something a lot more in detail. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. And I think that concludes the business other than the executive session, Ms. Pam.
Okay, the Board of Trustees may conduct an executive or closed session pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code for one or more of the following reasons. 1, consultation with its attorney to seek or receive legal advice, or consultation regarding pending or contemplated litigation, or for any purpose authorized by law. 2, discussion about the value or transfer of real property. 3, discussion about a prospective gift or donation. 4, consideration of specific personnel matters. 5, discussion about security personnel or devices. Or 6, discussion of certain economic development matters. The board may also announce that it will go into executive session on any item listed on the agenda if the subject matter is permitted for a closed session by provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Any vote regarding these items shall be taken in open session. Discussion regarding certain construction-related agreements for various college projects pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code.
And Dr. Graham, this is Francisco Ortega. The only reason why we had that item in executive session was in the event that the board wanted to discuss this item, which was the action item that the board just approved. But in light of the fact that the board has approved that item without the need for executive session, as far as council is concerned, there's no need to have executive session, as that was the only issue that was going to be discussed during executive session.
Okay, so Dr. Serrata, are you comfortable with us not having the executive session at this time?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. We were comfortable and just placed it in case the board had any additional questions on the expenditure.
Okay, I don't think anyone has any other questions. With that, then we conclude our meeting. Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So made.
A second.
And is there a second?
Second.
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone in favor of adjourning?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned at 4:48 p.m.
And we'll reconvene at 5:30.
5:30.
So you get a little break.
See you guys at 5:30.
Thank you.
Thank you.